Good afternoon, builders. Good afternoon. First thing I want to know is, can you hear me? Welcome this evening, Friday, January 29th. It's the end of the first month. Today, we are talking about how to make a mood board, small business tips for a strong brand identity. Do you want to learn how to emotionally connect with your customers and strengthen your identity? Time to mute that. Always catches me by surprise. Anyhow, as a part of your brand strategy, you'll want to learn what a mood board is as part of your visual identity and brand identity design process. I'll show you how to build your visual brand atmosphere that corresponds with your brand identity by selecting colors, photos, textures, and graphics using my system called the Arc Effect to attract, resonate, and emotionally connect with your audience. So let's start the show. Welcome back. Welcome back. So the first and most important question of the evening is, what is in your glass? What's in your glass? Let me know. Tonight I am drinking Brazen. It's another Cabernet Sauvignon from California, and we popped it open earlier this evening. I should probably slow down. Popped it open earlier this evening, and it sat a little bit glassy on the tongue, but we let it breathe a little bit, and now it's starting to feel really smooth, so I'm pretty happy with that. Andrew, what do you think? So now it's just a little bit acidic on the front end, but it's pretty smooth overall. Um, I would say that the color is between maybe a ruby and a garnet. And let me see. The body, what do you think, Andrew? I'd say medium, almost medium to sweet. And the acidity there is probably a little off dry. But the finish, is a little bit acidic. It's not as buttery as I would like, but yeah, I'd agree with that, Andrew. Goes well with crackers and cheese, definitely. So, how are you guys doing this evening? I hope you're doing well. Let's get on with mood boards. What is a mood board? Well, it's an arrangement of elements that represent your brand identity. Components include photography, colors, graphics, materials such as fabrics, metals, and glass. I've coined the term visual brand atmosphere that includes these components for your brand identity. This practice is to generate ideas for your brand visual identity. The arrangement of components is supposed to evoke a simple style or concept and emotion. And while it seems easy to adopt a style board and lay out your own elements, it's vital to know that there's much more that meets the eye. Yeah, Andrew, that's true. Definitely better than the prototype last week. Either you got immediately soused after your first glass, or maybe you need glasses. Anyhow, hi, my name is Lisa Stewart, and I am founder of Build Your Own Small Business and Build Your Own Money Message. Wow, I speak as well as you type. So if you are here joining us, please let me know in the chat who you are, where you're from. I would love to get to know you. Okay, so tonight we are talking about mood boards. And if you have just joined us, I want to let you know that we are drinking Brazen tonight. It is a Cabernet Sauvignon from California. And Andrew and I were just talking about it a minute ago. Um, it's a medium-bodied wine. It's okay. I don't recall the price of the bottle, but it's okay. It's one that I would probably bring to drink after we've had a couple of good bottles of wine, but it would go good with crackers and cheese. I think that I'm just probably in the mood for something really buttery like a Chardonnay. Yeah. So let me know in the chat where you're from and what is in your glass. And tonight we're talking about mood boards. Hello, we've got somebody else joining us. Welcome. Welcome. I'm Lisa Stewart, founder of Build Your Own Small Business and Build Your Own Money Message. And tonight we are talking about mood boards. Also, I want to know what's in your glass. Oh, is that right? Okay. Thank you, Andrew. He says somewhere between 10 and 20 bucks. I was kind of hoping to narrow it down between 10 and 15, 15 and 20, but that's okay. You can probably check your local grocer. Tessa, hey! Lapis Luna Cab. Oh, excellent. Excellent. How's it tasting on your tongue? Ours is okay. It's medium bodied. But today, as we continue, I've got a lot to go over on this mood board. I want to go over 5 steps that I use to build the visual brand atmosphere for my clients. So step number 1 is building the framework. Think of building your brand on a ladder. Each rung creates a deeper and meaningful identity that resonates with your customer. Crafted with your brand's unique attributes, values, differentiators, strengths, character, credibility, and expressive benefits, your brand maintains a steadfast uniqueness. This uniqueness is matched with your customer's lifestyle and cues that will promote emotional connection. And if you're not getting the sales you want, it might be because of an incomplete brand. I have found that when my clients finish their brand framework, they discover how to confidently talk with their ideal customers using their language, the words and the phrases and the imagery that their ideal customer uses. The brand framework helps align the values of both you and your customer, removing the idea of selling altogether. Because boy, if there's one thing that we, makers dread, it's selling. And building a brand framework basically eliminates that whole idea. So yeah, it just makes selling so much easier. And selling without a clear message, an incomplete brand framework, can make you feel invisible. And invisibility leads to no sales, and in superhero terms, that's kryptonite for your small business. Oh, Tessa, I'm sorry to hear that. The best thing is the label. I know we're all gravitating towards the labels, and the labels sell because if you're not in a place that allows you to taste test the product, boy, it's got to be designed well, right? So yeah, that's pretty funny. Okay, anybody else in here in the chat with us? All right, now, just to let you know, I've got a Kickstart course called Build Your Own Money Message. If you struggle to say what you sell and your explanation wanders without a real stop, you might be tempted to use your telekinesis to make your customers buy. Because it doesn't matter how good you are at what you do if nobody understands what you do and why they should buy your products and services. And life is too short to battle chronic low sales, right? You only have so much time to start showing a profit. And I know it can feel like there isn't a solution without villainy, but there is. And I'm here to guide you in building a successful business without watching potential customers walk away. This Build Your Own Money message will move you from monologuing endlessly like a supervillain and confusing customers to immediately making sales. And it's based on my personal system called the ARC effect to attract, resonate, and emotionally connect with your customers to create a profitable business. So, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to design and build a brand money message for your small business in 1 day or less. So the next time you face your customers, You can clearly and confidently state how your business solves their problem in 5 seconds or less and have them eagerly buy your product. You can leave the telekinesis to the tricksters. Cheers to that. Okay, step 2, identify your audience. The right audience is critical to making money. As an entrepreneur, you've probably heard this 1,000 times, but it's true. If you don't have an audience, you can't sell your product, and that's no bueno, right? You should be able to identify your ideal audience in a crowded marketplace by the clothes they wear, their age, hobbies they enjoy, whether they're young adults or empty nesters. They all have different values. And knowing this helps you make a valuable connection. So one day, Andrew and I were in New York City, and we were in one of the subway tunnels waiting to take a train back to the hotel. And we were standing there, and we saw two small groups of people. And I asked him, who do you think our customer is? And this is when we were building our leather goods. And there was an older couple who they were dressed in dark clothes. And everybody dresses in dark clothes in New York City unless you're a tourist. If you're a tourist, you dress in light clothes and realize what a mistake that was because everything gets dirty so fast. Well, and then there was another group of 3 young girls. And he's like, I think it's the 3 young girls. And I said, well, all right, let's do a test. Well, I was wearing one of my handbags, and I always would carry the postcards with me because the postcards I feel are a really great piece of collateral that I can leave with somebody and tell them, hey, put this on your refrigerator, and whenever you want to come purchase something from Lisa Stewart Designs, bring your postcard with you, or at least on the fridge, it will have the phone number and another way to contact me. So the older couple and the group of girls both got on the same train that we got on. So I said, okay, watch me talk with this 2 groups, and I'm going to tell you that it's the older group that's our customer. So as I approached them on the train, I told them immediately that I was a designer and I was looking for some feedback on my product and wanted to know if the handbag that I was carrying would be something that they would like to buy. And I told them again and again, this is no pressure, it's not pressure sales, but I'm just looking for customer feedback. So if you could be honest with me, I would be utterly grateful. And immediately the 3 girls, the girl in the center looked at me and I could see this immediate reaction on her face. It was almost a wince. It was like, and I saw it, I caught it. And then she said, well, I think it would be something that my mom would like. And I said, okay, fair enough. I appreciate that. Meanwhile, the older couple standing next to us, the empty nesters, the lady, she had on a dark overcoat. And when she opened it just a little bit, I could see some very interesting pattern work on the inside of her coat. And I'm like, mm-hmm. And she's like, I love your bag. Do you have a business card or anything? And I said, as a matter of fact, I have a postcard. So I pulled it out and I gave it to her and I reminded her, I'm like, look, I am not asking you to buy anything. I just wanted some feedback because I'm doing a little test on who our demographic might be. And so, yeah, the older couple won. And the way I knew who my audience was, is because my customer is a Renaissance woman, primarily. I have other customers in my brain framework, ideal audience framework as well. But I knew immediately because my customer is a Renaissance woman, she doesn't tend to flaunt what she owns. And a lot of times, the surprise will be in the inside. So when they open up the kimono, metaphorically speaking, you'll see some very interesting work that they're either wearing or carrying, or as they speak, they will speak very eloquently and very lyrically, like you're speaking about wine or you're speaking about theater or music. They have that kind of language. And if you can resonate with that kind of language and speak with them on those terms, you can connect with them right away. So immediately she and I were able to connect, and as the train stopped, two groups got off, and Andrew and I sat back and did a little review and said, okay, now you know. Now I know how to choose my audience in a crowded marketplace or on a platform in a train station. So I hope that you're going to be able to do the same thing. Meanwhile, I'm going to take another drink. Tessa, how you doing? Is your wine getting any better? Okay, step 3, research. What's fascinating is that the visual brand atmosphere will look different for two companies in the same market. There are several levels as to why this is, and it comes down to 5 elements in no particular order. Their archetype, the needs of their audience, what their audience will experience during the transformation, the values of the clients, and this is a big one that's mostly overlooked, and then of course the mission, vision, position, and the attributes of the client's brand. So let's talk about the needs and transformations of the audience. The audience is in a current circumstance. They need to complete a transformation that is either to overcome or achieve a better circumstance than what they're currently in. Do they want a tree removed from their house, or do they want a beautiful oasis built in their backyard? If you're a contractor, you're facing 2 different scenarios. One speaks to alleviating pain, that's to get the tree off the house, or the second one speaks to increasing pleasure. Now, if you niche in one, you'll have a completely different message that resonates and connects to connect with your ideal audience. If you are joining me here on the replay, feel free to type replay in the comments and let me know. And hey, if you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Lisa Stewart, founder of Build Your Own Small Business and Build Your Own Money Message. And today we're talking about mood boards and how they strengthen your brand visual identity. Now, let's talk about client values. Your genuine connection with your customer is your brand's strongest possible foundation. By consistently aligning yourself with your core values, you beget trust, even when it's not easy or convenient. And it's true that our core values are a key to our lives and our businesses. But left unexplored and unnamed, we're not getting the full benefit of our firm convictions. Oh, I would love to see the label. I don't know that I've seen the label before, Tessa. So I'll have to go off and find that. And for those of you just joining us, I want to know what's in your glass. Tonight, I am drinking Embrazen. It is a Cabernet Sauvignon from California, and it's a medium-bodied blend wine, and it's starting to get better over time. At first, it was a bit acidic, but it's getting better. So I want to know, have you tried this before? What do you think? And if you haven't, let me know what you're drinking tonight. I would love to know. Okay. To zero in on your uncompromising belief system, personify your brand. Even if you haven't yet established a brand, you're in terrific position. You can establish your plumb line now and build a true from the ground up, a true brand from the ground up. Now, if you're already in business and have a brand, you can suss out your core values, even temporarily, by personifying your brand. It's a natural thing to do since a brand relationship is much like a human relationship. When it works best, it feels personal. And when we personify a brand, the brand exhibits attributes and values like personality, character, and identity. And if you think about what you value in your personal relationships, like honesty, consistency, predictability, and shared values, just to name a few, you start resonating with each other and connecting, right? So your brand, like a person, must embody the substance and character and the qualities that you revere in a trusted friend. So here are a couple of questions to ask yourself. What values do I intrinsically uphold in my work ethic and in my business brand? What are my company's greatest strengths? And what does my company stand for? Those are just a few questions you can ask yourself. Just start sussing out those values. Tessa, I'll answer your question in just a minute. Okay, let's talk about archetype. Archetypes are another level of differentiation. Archetypes help to inform your client's motivations. So there are four questions to ask of yourself and your client. Do they want to find happiness? Do they want to achieve mastery? Do they want community, or do they want to feel safe? And these fields are matched up with the industry and market that you're in will dictate how your visual atmosphere will look. It's a bit art, math, and alchemy. Hey, Kitty, welcome. Kitty, welcome. Oh, you're in the great place. Great place to talk about that. Kitty wants to know, do you have any suggestions promoting a brand that is unconventional or perhaps not mainstream? That's my specialty. So today we're talking about mood boards, and the basis for mood boards is creating your brand framework. And when you create your brand framework, Kitty, then you're able to start communicating with your audience. And as we go through the foundation for the mood board, we're talking about identifying your audience. We're talking about your brand framework. We're talking about researching. That includes your archetype, the needs of your audience, what your audience will experience during the transformation, and the values of the client. And again, this is a big one that's overlooked by most businesses. And then, of course, your mission, your vision, your position, and attributes of the client's brand, of your brand. And then also you'll be looking at the needs and transformation of your audience. So your audience is in a current circumstance and they need to transform out of that current circumstance into something that's better than what they're in. They need to either overcome or achieve. And once you can identify what that motivation is, then you're closer to resonating with them and then connecting with them. And then I just briefly talked about the client values. And now we're talking about the archetype. So, as I said, the fields that match these fields, right, to find happiness, mastery, community, or feeling safe, when they're matched up with your industry and market, those will dictate how your visual atmosphere will look. Like I say, it's a bit art, math, and alchemy. So, for instance, it's like planting a garden. If you know which zone you're in, that would be your industry, and whether you're planting flowers or vegetables, that would be your market, and the use of your product. So imagine these three variables on the face of individual dice. The combination you roll, blow on it, toss that dice, will help inform the visual atmosphere of your environment. And if my math is correct, you have at least 27 different possibilities. So that means your brand framework and your visual atmosphere will look different than somebody else in the same market. And so that's what makes everybody so unique. And there's so many levels of creating uniqueness, and archetypes is one of them. And if you're interested in creating another level of differentiation, I would invite you to take my free archetype quiz. It will help you to move from being a commodity to a recognized brand with an archetypal foundation. As a small business owner, your personality shows in your services. Identifying an archetype that embodies your personality will emotionally connect with your customers and their desires. So when you take the quiz, your perfect archetype, I need some more wine. Your perfect archetype will be revealed that resonates with charm and character. And this is just one more level of differentiation that you can provide against your competitors and have your customers choose you. So go take the archetype quiz. I will also put that in the link in the description if I haven't already. Okay, now having done all of that research, it's critical to select the elements that will serve as inspiration that align with your goals. The essence of a mood board is to inspire your visual atmosphere that can include photography, fonts, graphics, textures, patterns, materials, and colors. So pay attention, pay keen attention to the industry that you're in. So for instance, banks and old boys clubs tend to have those traditional colors and textures associated with them. The colors are deep and saturated, like dark green, browns, and maroons. And the textures are filled with like wood paneling and leather wingback chairs with rivets. So you kind of get an idea what that feels like, right? So let me share with you. Oh, that's not what I want to share. A mood board that I had created for my business long ago. And now it's starting to evolve just a little bit at a time, but those were some of the colors, flavors, and textures that I was getting inspired by to create my own brand. And then with that, I created a brand style guide. And this style guide works to help create a visual glossary for my website and other collateral like business cards and like postcards and anything else that you want to design. So for instance, I had a client who reproduced authentic bar stools from turn of the century. The brand identity I built for him was traditional with a modern twist. Let me share with you the logo that I created. So in that logo, can you see a double image in there? Depending on how you view it, what do you see? Do you see a bar stool or swing doors? Let me know in the chat what you see. I'm going to take another sip. Okay, I'm just reading some of your comments here. Okay, all right. So, let's talk if you are in the technology space. Think about the foundational elements that you're building. Is it an app? Maybe think glass and metal. And this means the colors that you choose might be transparent. So when I developed, let's see if I can find this here. Um, Not that one, not that one. This is really tough to read here. Oh, this is fun. Let's just skim on through here. Okay, maybe I didn't pull it up. Oh, rats. Rats, rats, rats. Let me see here. I am going to turn on this for a second because I am trying to find There we are. So as you can see here, this particular app that I helped create was based on roommates, young adults living together. And the idea was that they could borrow bikes, boats, cars, and entry into the house. Each had a lock and reservation system, and the style is very youthful. So you can see where it has a bit of glass and a bit of youthful icons that go along with it. So that was a lot of fun to create. It was called Open Door Shareable Security, and effectively it was an app that was on your phone that you could identify yourself and then identify what you wanted to borrow. Did you want to open the garage? And you could use an IoT device to open the garage or open the car or unlock the chain around the bike. So yeah, a lot of really cool effects with this particular system. Okay, so I need to take another sip. Now, after I do all this research, I talk over the inspiration with my client about their marketing needs. So then that's when I start building into the style tiles. And the style tiles, as I mentioned, start to help curate the elements of the website without getting too deep into the weeds about where things like sections and calls to action are spaced. The style tile achieves a few things for both myself and my client. Like it provides a consistent visual glossary for other collateral like business cards, postcards, digital designs, and social media. And the style tile helps to curate the elements of a website without getting too into the weeds about where things are being placed, right? Like the calls to action and being pixel minded. So that's not the kind of conversations I like to have with my clients, because in the end, I'm helping my clients achieve more sales with these parameters, and it prevents them from getting into the weeds and micromanaging the project. So this particular style tile I created for one of my hobbies called Make, Buy, or Modify. This is a fun little YouTube station I'm creating. It's fledgling. I need to resurrect it. The foundation, the promise of this particular brand is to empower you to make the right choice based on your style, budget, and creativity. And so you can see how I have pulled different elements from makers and crafters and pull them into this particular board to make them feel at home when they come visit me on YouTube or on my website. I'm going to pull up a few more style guides. So here's a style guide that I created for my client who is in construction. He actually lays cement, so cement foundations and things like that. And the important thing is that the website and your brand isn't for you, it's for your customer. And think about it like curb appeal. So I have seen some, let's say for instance, car washes that were extremely charming. And as a woman, it's inviting to me. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go to that car wash. I feel safe there. And those are one of the values that you really want to start thinking about when you're attracting your audience. And so from car washes to service providers, you have to ask yourself, what kind of curb appeal are you creating for your audience? And so while my client was taken aback by this particular style guide, he realized how much it resonated with his customers. And now he's got so much business that he can't hire enough help to take all the jobs that are coming his way. So yeah, we did a pretty remarkable deep dive into building his brand foundation and then building his website and the collateral for him so that he is now completely consistent and can attract the right audience that he needs to build his business. Okay, how is everyone doing? I know Andrew stepped away for a little bit. He's double dipping. He's actually at another virtual party. So I can hear him out there laughing and filling the room with his dulcet tones. Okay. Let me see, Kitty. So, Kitty, let me know, are you a service provider or do you have a product? Because here you say that your therapist has suggested that your life experience, you might be able to help people cope with social distancing and the pandemic in general. So, do you have a product or would it be a service? Yeah, a niche that hasn't been entirely relevant in nearly a century. Oh my God. Old guard color palette. Can we please move on from the perpetual beige? Yeah. If there's something that just is so bothersome to me, and that's watching commercials featuring interior design that's just nothing but whitewashed. I love color. In our old house, every wall was painted. And I would go with the old Christopher Lowell mantra, no white walls. So now in our apartment, it's all white because I don't feel like painting it, but I painted this particular wall to help with my brand. Oh, that's funny. My fat cat? That's hilarious. And a beret takes you back. Yeah, so he is the creator. He is one of the archetypes in the system that I've created. So he's in structure and he is in the quadrant of feeling safe, along with the ruler and the caregiver. So I would be very interested to learn what archetype you would be. So go take the quiz, let me know, and I will help you discover your archetype. And then when you do take that quiz and it's revealed to you, I also send to you a a book that I've written on archetypes, where they came from and how big businesses use them, and give you some examples like how Dove will use the innocence and Gerber Baby. They both use the innocence archetype to help create their brand and marketing strategies. And I also provide you with an infographic that includes marketing tips for you as well. Let me see if I can bring one up. Let me see, let me see. I am going to hide behind this for a second. And I feel like most of my things were in let's see here, one folder, but I'll open up. Okay, so I'll remove this and I'll bring this over and I will, let's see, I should be able to, oh nuts. Well, that's too bad. Okay, I wanted to blow this particular graphic up so that you could see some of the elements inside the infographic so that you could appreciate them. But what I've done is I've included the family members in each archetype. I've included your mission. I've included best day attributes and dark day attributes because we all have a shadow side, so it helps to stay informed if we're becoming too pedantic in our services and in our instructions. We don't want to do that. The language that's suggested that you could use, as well as strategy, some marketing ideas, and then as a creator, what I do is I provide tools for clients to use to make them feel empowered. So that's really the basis for the creator archetype. And then if you are an innocent archetype or a caregiver archetype, ruler, hero, any of those archetypes, you get the same infographic that is unique to that particular archetype to give you better ideas. So I hope that inspires you. Let's see. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I bet working in a museum was fun. Historical farm? Interesting. When I moved to North Carolina, I took a walking tour of the tobacco farms and started to dig into the history of the tobacco farms and how tobacco was harvested and all of that. So, yeah, they went through all of the historical tools that they used and some of the systems and things like that. So, it was fascinating. Whew, okay. So, I'm going to have another sip. If you are watching on the replay, let me know in the comments where you're from and what takeaway that you most resonated with in tonight's chat on how to build your own mood board and then how to take that inspiration and create a style tile for your website and other brand collateral. All right. Now, the elements that we learned about how to create a mood board for your strong brand identity are that there are many strategic steps involved in brand identity design process to achieve the right harmony that attracts your ideal audience. And the steps that I use to build a visual brand identity for my clients include to complete your brand framework. The right audience, of course, is critical to making money. Research helps to curate the visual brand atmosphere for your brand that includes needs and transformation of your audience, client values, archetypes that create another level of differentiation, the organic influence of the mood board, and then transferring that into a style tile, creating a consistent visual glossary to be used for other collateral. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you're inspired yet. And what I would love is if you are liking this chat to give me a thumbs up. I would love that. That would let YouTube know that this is an interesting chat that could inspire other makers and entrepreneurs, my inventor mentors, my inventors. So let them know to, come and join the party and get some value from this particular live stream. I would love that if you could do that. Okay. That's pretty cool. I bet. I bet. Okay, well, this wine is starting to get smooth, or I'm about to get soused. I'm not sure which, but it's starting to mellow out now. Tessa, how you doing? Tessa, I think you had a question earlier. Let me go back and see if I can find that. See if I can address it. How do you get your demographic to believe you have something of value to offer them? Ooh, that is a can of worms. there's so much that you can do. But I think that initially what you want to do is to be seen. And you have to find out where your audience is and how they want to digest the information that you want to provide. I know that the the interesting thing about trends and the evolution of information consumption is that people would rather watch video than read, because we have so much to say and so much to share that in some cases people just want to hit rewind and listen to it again, and instead of reading. And I know that, especially since many of us are on computers all day long, our eyes get tired, and we would just rather sit and watch somebody talk with us and interact with us in that moment, and then get the Q&As out there and do just as we're doing right now. Just, you know, share a bit of knowledge and start engaging with potential customers. And they'll start finding you when you start using the right keywords to start that will connect with what it is they're searching for. So try to figure out what it is that pains them today so that they start finding you and start connecting with you. But yeah, I mean, that's one way to start, is really figure out where your clients hang out, and then start sharing a bit of value and supporting some of their issues that they're having through comments and some of your own blog posts and maybe videos that you might want to do. So yeah, it can be a long process, but you know, what do they say about planting a tree, right? If you want to plant a tree, what's that adage? Something about planting a tree 20 years ago, and the best time to plant a tree is today. So that's all you can do, is really start to figure out what your pillar content is going to be when you start creating content for your clients. And then through your marketing efforts, which is basically doing the one-on-one, face-to-face conversations like you and I are doing right now, like I do with partners through LinkedIn, and laying comments through other blog posts and other videos like on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn. And that's something else that I encourage anybody who's watching, is to make sure that you are logged in with your brand channel. So that way, when you start leaving comments, you start leaving a breadcrumb trail. And then when you start offering value and supportive comments to what it is I'm saying, people are going to go, that was really interesting that, you know, Tessa said X, Y, and Z. So let's go check her out. And so they will click on your name, and that name will then click to your YouTube page. And even if you don't have any videos on your YouTube page yet, what I recommend is at least completing your banner and the promise that your service or product brings, and then include your bio in the about section. And then you can also include links to your website or any other platforms that you're on. So at the very least, you've got that kind of information that's optimized on the YouTube page, so that you start leaving breadcrumb trails to your home base, which would be your website. Okay, good. All right, excellent. Oh, geez, Kitty. So, Kitty, can you tell me more about the kind of service or product that you would offer your clients today? Let me know in the chat. Maybe I can address it before we close for the evening. All right. Tessa, how you doing? How are you doing on your wine? And Kitty, what's in your glass? Let me know. Okay, is there any other things that I can share with you today about? Oh, let me share another. It's not a, here's a style tile that I created a year or so ago in partnership with another web designer who asked me to build her style tile for her. And this particular person was in the uh, wellness space. And so she shared with us the two images, which is the hands with the energy between them, and then the sun that's coming through the heart-shaped hands. And so from those two images, as a brief exploit into building a mood board, then I pulled colors from those to help her create a brand atmosphere that would attract her ideal audience. And so what I also like to do is, if you can see the solid colors, the blue, the silver, the pink, and the yellow, beneath them, what I also do is create a gradient. You can see the light blue to the very dark blue. And what that does is that expands your color palette. So you're not just beholden to this hue of blue or gray or pink or yellow, but you have an opportunity to use a lighter shade or a darker shade, especially when you're using fonts or you're using buttons and you really want to create a high contrast for your customer to be able to read and decide what it is they need to do next, what step they need to take next on their website. So yeah, that's how I go through and build a brand style board for clients. And another app that I created was an iWine app, and that was a lot of fun. And this app actually took place on the desktop, but it could be mobile accessible. And I had a lot of fun developing that app. That app, let's see if I can enlarge it for you. That app did two things. This app would let you know if you had a meal that you wanted to prepare, what kind of wine would pair with it, or if you had a bottle of wine, what kind of meal you should prepare with it. So you could go front or backwards with it, no matter where you were in your evening and you wanted to drink a bottle of wine, you could determine how to plan your evening based on the food that you have or the wine that you have. And then also, if you were invited to a customer, or rather a friend's home for dinner, and you ask them, what are you making? And they would say, oh, well, we're going to do, lasagna tonight, right? So is the lasagna a meat-based sauce? Is it a red sauce? What kind of red sauce is it? Kind of get in their head a little bit, so that way you can start choosing the best wine that would pair with that, so that when you arrive to their home with a bottle of wine, they're going to be super impressed. So yeah, this was an app that I developed both the UI and the UX. And if you don't know what UI and UX means, UI means user interface, because I fell in love with the Starship Enterprise when I was 5 watching Star Trek. And I loved the user interface on the dashboards in the helm. And then I also developed the UX, which is the user experience. And the user experience is when you push a button, where does that button take you? And does it take you to the right place? And so, yeah, developing the user experience really works across the board with apps. So let it be mobile devices, let it be desktop devices, and then also any customer experience, let's say inside your brick and mortar. So I really learned how to work those steps in a very micro moment way. So that way I could learn how to delight my customer each and every step of the way. So keep that in mind when you are developing your services or anything else that is customer facing. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I like the concept of the mood board too, Tessa. The one thing that I want to remind everybody about mood boards is that they really serve as inspiration. They serve as inspiration so that way you can pull in colors, textures, materials, and things like that, and use them as inspiration for yourself. Um, and they're not there to necessarily copy, but help give you an idea of what you're after. So that way, if you need the help of a designer like me, you can say, hey, Lise, I've got these elements that I have created as a mood board. Is there any way that you can help me create this into a style tile and bring this into that style tile that will best resonate with my customer? Yeah. Yeah. And so that style tile fits perfectly between a mood board and design parameters for a website, because the design parameters are filled with, you know, pixel perfect information. And so clients tend to get lost in the weeds with this information over here. And then with a mood board, they don't necessarily understand what the website is going to look like based on just the textures and the patterns and the materials. So that style tile fits perfectly in between the two to give them just enough information as a visual glossary for how things are going to feel on the website, and then using that to push into postcards, business cards, and any other collateral that you want. Yeah. Oh, Tessa, I'm still in my first glass. I'm feeling a little loopy. Let's see here. Oh, good. Now I can see. I've got I'm using a third-party app to uh, work my live stream here. And for the longest time, it had comments and reactions over here included in the app. And the text was really tiny, and I don't want to wear my glasses because I don't want the glare from the lens to reflect back into the lens of my camera. So I was struggling a little bit, and I just realized, woohoo, the text actually enlarges. So yeah, learning something new every day. Okay, so Kitty, I am developing a course that surrounds purpose and passion. If you want to join the course, let me know. And I think I'm going to create maybe a 3-day challenge out of it. It'll be a free 3-day challenge to help you um, define what it is you want to offer. Because if you can't put your finger on it yet, this will really help you start defining the things that you love to do, the things that you're really good at, and the things that the world needs. So let me know if you'd be interested in something like that, because I'm thinking about creating a free challenge, maybe either on Facebook or a different membership. I'm thinking probably Facebook. That would really help curate the things that you would love to be able to bring to the world that you feel really good about and that resonate with people who need it. So yeah. Let's see here. Um, ah, maybe, okay, so you've got an uncomfortable question. You're not Robert Downey Jr., none of us are, or George Bush. No, we aren't. And we all have a checkered past. We all have, a jaded background that, we're human. We've made mistakes. It happens to the best of us. Um, how can you overcome that hurdle? So, yeah, I think that mm, without you being here in my space so that we can talk back and forth, usually in this case, what I really like to do is dive deeper and ask you more and more questions, because then it's about laying your cards out on the table and figuring out what resonates with you, and how to talk about your past without feeling bitter or anxious. Because there are some things that I'm working through right now that I want to be able to share stories about without, you know, looking angry as I share them. So I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from. Yeah, and I understand that offering your coping strategies for free, because it is very hard taking care of a loved one due to their advanced age. We've been there. We took care of Andrew's parents, and that was really tough. Yeah, and there are many of us who want to help somebody in need, and anytime we go to the tried and true strategies prior to the pandemic, it's like, oh, wait, well, we can't go to her house and help her with technology. So, she can't participate in some online events, which just, it breaks our heart, but that's the reality of it. And I think this pandemic is really a good exercise for how to build in strategies that help people who are shut in, right? Help people who are stay at home and who can't get out. And so I think there's going to be a lot of change that happens um, due to this and our experience of this. So it will be fascinating to see the the new apps and services that are developed as a result of this. So, all right. Well, ladies, it is 6:02, and Tessa, do you have any other things that you'd like to add before I close? And as I close, um, I'm going to give my grade. Give my grade on Embrazen, the Cabernet Sauvignon that I'm drinking here. It is, it's smooth, smoother. It still has just a bit of acidity. So yeah, it would go probably go decently with a Gruyere cheese and some crackers. And like I said, the finish is a bit acidic, so it does need a little bit of fat to accompany it. And so, yeah, I mean, if it was the only bottle of wine that I had and I came to your house for dinner, we would probably drink your wine first and then drink this, and nobody would care. All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's How to Build a Mood Board to strengthen your brand, your visual brand identity. And if you need help in that, let me know. I also have a free color style board that's available that I put in the comment section. I pinned that there. And feel free to take the archetype quiz. I would love to see what your archetype is and how you can use it to connect with your customers. Okay. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Have a great evening and keep building.